Let's pivot to what to ask franchise owners. Now, this is fun. I'm literally going through franchisee validation myself right now with this franchise that my wife and I are looking at. So I actually just did a validation call yesterday, and so one of the things that we do that with folks that are in our zero to profitable franchise system, part of our system is in helping to give guidance on vetting the franchise and providing that support. So one of the things we do is we create a spreadsheet for our clients, and then you want to have the same questions that you ask the franchisees. And so what I have is I have my Google sheet, and I have my questions across the top of it. I have it nice and gridded. I have it in a nice spreadsheet. And then when I'm doing a validation call, I am looking at those questions and I'm typing in all the notes in there. So then what happens is all the names are listed here, and then all the answers to the questions are listed horizontally. So I'm able to see the list of all the people, and then, okay, how did this person answer that question? I can see if I did 10 validation calls, I can see this person, this person, this person, this person, and see all of their different answers in one column. Right. And so, yeah, there'll be a little bit of mix and match depending upon the flow of the conversation, but it's going to allow you to be able to have quality franchisee validation calls. Right. You'll be able to have quality franchisee validation calls. So, um, first thing that I always want to ask is, hey, just getting started, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself and like what you did before and what made you choose this franchise. Because I'm wanting to get an idea of, like, for me, number one, I want to understand who I'm talking to, right? Because if someone starts giving me feedback about the franchisor that they don't know what they're doing, or, X, Y, and Z, um, I can usually tell if it could be more on the owner that's pointing the finger, and maybe they're not a great owner, right? So, and I want to know what their skill set is, what their background, what they did before, just to understand how that matches up with the franchise overall. So that's a really important question. Another question that you want to ask is, hey, how's your support been, like, with the franchisor? Like, what did that support look like with training? How's the current support that you're getting? Are you satisfied with that? You want to understand where things are from a support perspective, from the franchisee's perspective. One of the things I learned yesterday, they said, franchisor probably need some work in some of their training. Overall was good, but he said, look, you're going to learn the best by experience and being on site, and that's how you're going to really learn the best. Which is like, okay, I know that, and I know that that's my learning style anyways. I learn the best from doing. um Another thing that I want to ask is, like, hey, where can the franchisor improve? Like, what are they great at, and what do they need to improve at? It's just giving me a gauge. Again, you're wanting to get a lay of the land overall of what the franchisor is like, right? So that's what you're validating first, and then you want to pivot to, okay, great. So, like, can you walk me through, um, first, like, what is your role in the business? What is your role in the business overall? And you'll find different franchisees have different roles. This guy, his location has not been open for 2 years yet, so he's there every day. He said, okay, when I first started, I was working like 70 hours a week, and then after a few months, it shifted to like 60 hours a week, and then now it's down to like 40 hours a week, less than 2 years later. So it's like, okay, cool, that makes sense, right? My wife did validation with someone else who's owned their business for a while. They have 2 locations, and they're basically like, hey, we have managers. We're pretty much hands off in the business. Occasionally, we'll get a call if someone calls out or calls in sick. But besides that, like, we really don't do much in the business. And so you're getting a lot of these insights of, like, oh, okay, so it's possible to operate the business successfully absentee. My wife was able to ask them about their sales and what sort of sales they're doing, and the person was willing to share that. And then so you're able to get an idea of, okay, in order for me to afford a manager and to be semi-absentee, all right, I'd need to be in this kind of ballpark of sales in order to make that happen. That leads to financial questions, which is, you want to get as much financial information as you can, because as you know, the franchisor is not going to tell you anything about finances or profit margins. They're not allowed to say anything outside of what's in the item 19 for financial performance representation. So you're going to get the most detailed information um, from the franchisees. That's your opportunity, and that's your shot to be able to get that info. So the way that I like to do this, and I just overall feel comfortable asking financial questions because I was a financial advisor for many years. So I'm just used to asking people like very sensitive information. Some people feel like nervous or iffy about that. It's just not a problem that I have. But you want to use like a transition. So it's not necessarily what you ask, it's how you ask it. So you want to ask a transition question like, "Hey, um, do you mind if I ask you a couple financial questions about your business, or do you mind sharing like what sort of sales or sales volume you're doing?" And uh, a lot of the times, if someone's really open, they'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll tell you anything you want." Yeah, and then they just start spouting off stuff that you haven't even asked them. Some people may give you very limited information, so what I do is I like to ask the financial questions towards the end of the validation call, because there's already rapport there where we're already warmed up and primed, like in the conversation. If you just come out and you're just like, "Hey, how much money are you making?" They're gonna be like, like, come on, whoa, whoa, slow your roll. Like, we literally been on the phone 2 minutes. You're asking me how much money am I making? Think about it. Um, so I just like to ask that later on in the conversation, just like once that rapport has been built. And one of the things I like to ask is, "Hey, what do you think is like what would you consider to be like a good profit margin versus great versus like really bad?" And so I'm wanting to hear them say, "Hey, yeah, yeah, we're looking at targeting about a 15 or 20% margin," or "Okay, great. Like, so what impacts that? What are the numbers?" And this is another question that I have on my sheet, which is, what are the numbers and the KPIs that you're looking at to manage and improve your profitability of your location? You're also going to get a really good idea of, again, how does this person kind of know what they're doing in their business? Because if they go, "Huh, what are KPIs?" Or, "Well, I don't really look at much," or, "I'm not really good with that stuff," and you're like, "Oh, okay. Well, if you're not really good with that stuff, you're probably not going to be running a great location." Right? But if someone goes, "Yeah, we target XYZ labor cost, we target XYZ in our food cost, we target to have our marketing spend at XYZ percentage of sales," and they really start breaking it down, then number one, okay, this person is on top of it. They know their business, and now you want to start asking them deeper questions to really understand how to impact profitability in in the business that you're looking to buy. So those are primarily the questions that to ask. And really the last one is around like work life balance. Like, how do you manage work life balance with your store and your employees? And a lot of times you just ask open-ended questions like that, and it'll lead you to kind of rabbit holes and conversational topics that may not have happened. So you want to ask open-ended questions and make sure that you're taking all of those notes. And by doing all of these things, it's going to allow you to feel, if you talk to 5 to 10 franchisees that you validate with, ask good questions to the franchisor, you're going to have a pretty clear idea of what the role of the franchisee is, what the financial opportunity looks like, if they're happy with the franchisor, if they would have made this decision again, which is another question to ask. If you had to do it all over again, would you? If you enjoyed this short clip from the podcast, you can check out another short clip right here. Or if you want to watch the full episode of this podcast, you can watch that here. And remember, knowledge is not power. It's applied knowledge that's power. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.